Hello and welcome to the Pod of the Damned. I'm your host Ian, and joining me again, as always, is my co-host Nico. How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. For those of us who are watching us on the live stream, I think a lot of them are already familiar with me and my streaming, but this is a first look for a lot of them on you.
Yes, first look.
It's a,
I've never done streaming live like this before.
no, you haven't, and it's. I just want to. I'm wondering if, for anyone who watches the stream, if they're gonna think that the face matches the voice.
Just like me and Sharon.
you know and Nico, since it's our first year, not that we planned it, we finally are doing something that we said we were going to do for a really long time, and is that share a drink whilst doing a recording.
Yes, it is.
Nico's enjoying a nice.
Cheers, bud.
What's the beer? What to tell our listeners? What beer are you drinking?
It's Star of Ramen.
I am drinking a nice Captain Morgan's dark rum and cola.
Ooh, nice.
I plan on, getting a few of them down maybe before the end of the show. But anyways, don't forget, we are a horror podcast that deep dives into a different topic every single week in our quest to create a leaderboard of the best and worst horror movies of all time. This is episode number 73, and in today's show, we're talking about the 2009 comedy horror movie Zombieland. Before we start talking about anything else, don't forget, if you would like to support us on our social media platforms, you can do so. We're on Twitter at Damned Podcast. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Pod of the Damned. You can email us at podofthedamned@gmail.com, and you can support us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Pod of the Damned. Quick bit of housekeeping for those of you, obviously, who maybe listen to this on the download. I did explain during our last episode with on Candyman that the structure of the show, whilst will remain largely the same, may include some slight differences to those of you listening on the podcast. For example, we now have a live chat. We now perform these shows to a live audience who may be chatting with us, so we may be responding to some of those chats. For those of you who are watching for watching this on streaming, all of the alerts, the sounds for those have been switched off, and I will capture anything that comes through at the end of the show. Once I've stopped recording for the podcast, I'll go through any new followers or any subscribers or anything like that at the end of the show, and that'll get caught up with as normal. I think that's all I've got to go through for housekeeping at the moment. Nico, this is your choice of movie. You picked Zombieland. Why did you pick Zombieland?
Well, I like the comedy ones, and this is probably, if not the most famous one, close to it.
Now, you say most famous. Does most famous equal best, though?
I'm one of the weird ones that prefers the second one, and everyone thinks that shit.
Okay, well, I've not seen Double Tap, so I can't possibly comment on this. So I'm reviewing this movie with absolutely no frame of reference to Double Tap. So,
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see our differences and opinions on this. Have you got anything else? Sorry.
I know you hate this.
I think you might be a little surprised then, Nico.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not. Before we get into the actual movie itself, Nico, you obviously are very familiar at this point with our horror movie leaderboard. This is the 69th movie that we have covered on the show. Not episode 69, because that was Scary Movie, but this is our 69th movie. So where do you think Zombieland, out of the 69 movies we...
I just got... I'm getting attacked.
Out of the 69 movies we have covered so far, where do you think Zombieland's going to rank on the show? This will be great for
come on.
Our viewers... For new viewers and listeners to the show, Annie is Nico's cat and not, just a woman that he's shouting at.
Yeah, Annie is like an abusive younger cat. He's been beating me up.
Where do you think Zombieland's gonna rank?
trying to think. I reckon it'll be about a 7.5.
You think it'll get about a 7.5? So that would put it in around 27th place on our leaderboard.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Okay, well, shall we get into it?
Go for it.
Okay, and in today's show, we are talking all about Zombieland. This movie was released in 2009, was written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, and directed by Ruben Fleischer, and stars Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, and Woody Harrelson. The IMDb plot is as follows. A shy student trying to reach his family in Ohio, a gun-toting bruiser in search of the last Twinkie, and a pair of sisters striving to get to an amusement park join forces in a trek across a zombie-filled America. Can I just say that I think Twinkies are probably the most overrated thing in the planet?
I hate Twinkies.
I really don't like Twinkies.
Like, do you know what mine would be? Mine would be cream eggs. I would be searching for the last cream egg.
A cream egg would actually be worth it. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'd prefer over a cream egg, to be honest, and I'm not 100%. You know what? A Terry's chocolate orange, though.
I prefer the fondant and the cream egg.
I do like the fondant. You're right. It is good. But yeah, Twinkies are massively overrated.
Yes.
I mean, we don't really get them over here anyway, though. But you can't get your hands on them. It's just they're just not very popular.
See, I looked forward to trying a Twinkie, and they were just. Ugh.
They're just so disappointing, aren't they?
Yeah. There's like no flavor. It's just sweetness.
Yeah, and not the good kind of sweetness.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not on board with the Twinkie love that this movie portrays. However, horror comedy, Nico, and you know we like our horror comedies. We've covered, I would say, quite a few horror comedies, but we always try to discuss whether or not a movie is going to strike that balance between horror and comedy. You know, if you look at some of the horror comedies that we've covered in the past, some of them go too far into the horror, some of them go too far into the comedy, and some of them get it just right. And when they get it just right, it's pretty fucking special, isn't it? You know, they're whilst I think a lot of our viewers probably disagree with how high it gets ranked on our leaderboard, Tucker and Dale versus Evil is still in our top 10 of ranked movies that we've reviewed. Obviously, there's a lot of movies that probably will come higher than that we haven't reviewed yet, but at the minute it sits in our top 10. And I think that's a perfect example of a horror comedy that gets the balance pretty much spot on. And I think it's safe to say that the other one that we would consider is Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
Those are your sort of benchmarks, aren't they?
No, I do prefer one of those movies to this, and I do prefer this to one of those movies.
Can I hazard a guess?
You're going to know the answer.
Number 1 would be Tucker and Dale. This will be 2, and Shaun of the Dead will be 3.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I have a different ranking for those 3 movies, and I'm sure you could probably.
Yours is Shaun of the Dead, then Tucker and Dale, then this.
Yes. See, we know each other so well, Nico. However, you know, before we came on air, or was it just before the intro there? You know, you said that you think I'm not going to like this movie. I do like this movie. And I do think this is an example of the movie where they pretty much get the balance pretty well. I mean, I think it probably...
They lean into the comedy more.
They lean a little bit over to the comedy side rather than, the horror side of things. You've got, obviously, the zombie themes there, but... I think in general this one does a pretty good fucking job. You know, it's got characters in there that you like. It's got, people that are just generally likable. I mean, Woody Harrelson's just like a generally likable guy. Emma Stone's just generally likable. Yeah. You've probably got, I think, what some people think is one of the greatest cameos of all time in this movie with Bill Murray's appearance. So, it's just one of those things. I think it sort of ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. I'm going through the list here of movies that we've covered and trying to sort of pick out, some of the ones, horror comedy wise. You think Zombievers, for example, as an example of, it not being done right. Hubie Halloween, for example, an example of that balance not quite being right.
Yeah.
Um, we've done things like Cockneys versus Zombies, and but then there's other ones that are better. I like Dog Soldiers, for example, is a movie that we both love. Is definitely a horror comedy and is one that I think is probably quite underrated, really, by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Because, well, Dog Soldiers, that leans more at the horror side, so a lot of people forget it's a comedy, but there's some hysterical moments in that.
yeah, which we went to great length to discuss when it was our turn to cover this on the show. I'm trying to look at and Dog Soldiers, actually, I missed that out there. That's only one. It's got the same score as Tucker and Dale, so it's also right up there in our top 10 still. And to be honest with you, I think I'd rather watch Dog Soldiers than Tucker and Dale.
I'm the other way around on that one, but it is close.
Yeah. Anywho, House of Screams podcast. Hello, how are you? They says, I feel like this was USA's attempt to do Shaun of the Dead kind of vibe, not as good as Shaun of the Dead though. I definitely agree with that. I know, Nico, you have a slightly differing opinion, but I do feel like it is kind of US. I can't speak anymore. USA's answer sort of to Shaun of the Dead, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this started off as a TV show. They were going to do a TV show with this.
Yeah.
That's why they did a TV show after it,
Which
but, which failed miserably. It was a bad idea, but like you can see the potential of it for being that. But I think they had it right when they got the movie.
there is definitely potential in this to expand and have the Zombieland sort of universe.
Yeah.
But it really does need to be in the right hands for that to be any sort of success. And that, as we've just said, obviously it's not been put in the right hands. So, it's not been. I mean, I've not seen it, but you say you like it. What do you like about Double Tap?
It's more of this. Like the only way of describing it is if it's like the next episode. This is a pilot. The next one's the next episode.
Yeah.
It's quite good, and I prefer it because they end up at like a hippie commune, and it just goes a bit. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's quite funny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into some of the actual aspects of Zombieland, shall we? Because there's a few things I want to talk about. This did sort of come slap bang in that middle where there was just zombie movies everywhere, wasn't there?
Yeah.
This was in the middle of that phase, in the middle of that sort of fad we had in the sort of mid to late noughties, where there was so much content around zombie movies, and I have to say, very, very little of it was actually any good.
Yeah.
When you actually look at the whole, there's some absolute gems and masterpieces in there, and some things that will, I think, go down ultimately as some of the greatest movies of the time period. I think Shaun of the Dead definitely counts in that fact, but you've also got things like 28 Days Later, which to me is an absolute incredible horror movie. I know it's not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but it's in there. You've got Wreck, which is our Spanish found footage movie, which I think again is an incredible movie. Really short, really packs a punch. It's a really mean little horror movie, that one. You've got the Dawn of the Dead remake, which I think is widely accepted as being one of the sort of best remakes out there going. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everything you pretty much said. Like it seems to go in waves, and the zombie movies when they were doing it is just mental. Like they overdid it. You've got the shit ones like Warm Bodies and stuff like that. That was awful.
I mean, even Warm Bodies isn't. It's all right.
Really?
Come on, we've both seen a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, but I'm just meaning out with the famous ones that actually made money. That's one of the ones that was one of the worst ones, I'd say. And that's trying to be a horror comedy.
Yeah.
And it just misses everything, I think. Because it's trying to be a rom-com, it's trying to be a horror comedy, it's trying to be everything in one. It just doesn't pull off, I think.
That's fair. So really the point that I'm trying to get at is in that sort of where does Zombieland rank for you then in that sort of time period of zombie movies that was coming out?
I would definitely say it's one of the better comedy ones. Like 28 Days Later, that is distinctively a British movie, and if you like that, you love British movies. I think that's why a lot of people don't seem to like that.
It
But yeah, there's a lot then.
Yeah, there was a lot then, and I mean, to an extent, it has sort of just kept on going. It's just that other things have overtaken it a little bit. We've never really left the zombie theme. You know, there's not been really an extended period of time where zombie movies haven't been coming out. You know, they're still they're still coming out, and again, there's some absolute crackers out there. You think of things like Train to Busan, which
That was what I was thinking of exactly what you were saying. That
is probably, you know, one of the best recent zombie movies out there going, you know. So it's still it's a genre that is massively saturated. And you really do have to go hunting, I think, for the fine gems in there. There's far more bad than good.
Yes.
And luckily, Zombieland, I think, falls on the better side of that scale. One of the
you're saying that, but
yeah, one of the sort of central things that Zombieland sort of centers itself around is the rules to surviving a zombie apocalypse, rules to surviving Zombieland, essentially. And, you know, the movie gives us, I think, like 7 or 8 different rules throughout the course of this movie. I'm assuming Double Tap extends that and gives us some more. But there was also promotional material and stuff online that explains some of the other rules of a zombie movie. And I asked a couple of people, I put it out onto the social medias just before we came on air, asking for a couple of opinions for people to give us what their number one rule would be for surviving a zombie apocalypse. Now, rule number 1 in the movie is cardio.
I'd fail on that one.
I'd probably fail on that one too. I'd fail on most of these. Rule number 2 is double tap. I think we're both.
That would probably be my number 1.
I think we're both pretty fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, some of the rules make sense. Some of them are a bit funnier. You know, number 3 is beware of bathrooms. That's pretty solid advice, to be fair.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Never mind a zombie apocalypse. Beware of bathrooms anyway.
I know. Well, yeah, exactly. Number 4 is seatbelts. Always wear your seatbelt.
Yep.
Number 5, no attachments. And then you've got ones that are just like weapons you could use. Number 6 is cast iron skillet. You know. Number 7 is travel light. Number 8, get a kick-ass partner. You're okay, Nico, you'd have me.
You think?
I'd be your kick-ass partner.
You think I'd pick you?
I mean, I have the keys to a bar, so we could just get peshed and die.
So Shaun of the Dead then.
Yeah. Like you would say no.
I'd try and survive, to be honest.
I mean, we could barricade ourselves in.
See, you need a set of big wheels. You need a couple of good heavy instruments to get in the brain, just right in the center of it.
You don't think there's a couple of heavy instruments stored in a bar?
I know there is.
Exactly. Some of the other rules that are out there. Number 15, bowling ball. Nothing says massive head trauma like a bowling ball. Number 17, don't be a hero. I think that's where you would die, because I think you would try and be a hero.
Hell no.
Yes, I disagree. I think you would absolutely try and be a hero.
No, I'd be saving my ass over everyone else's.
I disagree. Anyways, you know, number 18, limber up. It's always good to, you know, stretch before you get some exercise in. Number 21, Nico, and this is one. Avoid strip clubs. Again, I feel like that's zombie apocalypse or not. Having been someone who's worked at a strip club, you know, I would definitely say avoid strip clubs.
See, it's good for picking up a stiletto heel.
For weapons, I see. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, so they're the rules to surviving a zombie apocalypse. Like I said, I did ask a few people. House That Screams, who's here in the chat, they did say a rule, not their number one rule, but like they've got a long game tip for us. Is develop a useful skill aside from just food gathering and fighting, such as needed things like needlework. So for clothing, stitches for medical issues and mending, or weaving and stuff along that line. So, you know, it's a zombie apocalypse, but take some time out and learn how to sew first.
I'm handy, so I'd be fine.
Yeah, you are quite handy. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I can make you a mean venom.
That would only last for so long.
No, it'll be fine.
it's as soon as I learn how to do it myself, you'd be screwed.
I know, but I'd keep making you new ones. Stew World Order says, I've no idea why people would want to survive a zombie apocalypse. I'm far too soft for that. I mean, I feel like probably you and half the population.
I'm pretty sure I'd like it.
Yes, Nico, we all know that you think you're the hard man.
I don't think it. I just think it'd be fun.
No, you don't think it. You know it.
Like, I think it would be quite fun run along the street with a baseball bat, taking people's heads off. That's all I'm saying.
Movies for Days says, freeze your heart. No more room for emotional attachments if you want to survive.
Also true.
True, but then what's the point?
Casual hookups like in this.
It didn't end up being casual though, did it?
That is true. He made a stupid mistake by going to that park.
I mean, ending up with Emma Stone, I don't think would be classed as a stupid mistake.
That is true. Actually.
You know what? I'd be like, end up with Emma Stone. Okay, you can just take me then. I can just die.
I think they've all got the short straw with him.
What, with Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because Tallahassee is basically kick-ass in every way, shape, and form.
Mm-hmm.
And like Wichita has the street smarts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He just lucks out all the way through, I think.
No, he doesn't luck out all the way through because he lives by the rules of how to survive Zombieland.
Look at the first zombie. He meets up with the first zombie and he lucks out against her.
He lucks out in the initial, but once he develops his rules, there's not that much luck for him.
And do you think Johnny Depp's got that on loop?
I think Johnny Depp probably does have that on loop. Yep. Amber Heard, obviously, in this movie is 406, which I didn't actually know until very recently that it was Amber Heard.
Really?
I didn't know it at all.
Like, my favourite meme from the whole court case was, you know, that bee thing, which was like, that.
Yeah.
And then it cut to her being a zombie and I'm like, that fucking, cause she's got.
My dog stepped on. Was it my dog stepped on a bee?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't know. Like, to be honest with you, I've not seen a lot of Amber Heard stuff. I would really struggle to name like 5 or 6 things that she's been in.
Well, Aquaman.
I know Aquaman. I've not seen Aquaman.
What's that fucking... There's a Ghost Rider ripoff with Nicolas Cage that she's in, I think.
Is there?
And a con of mine fit's actually called
Spirit Rider. I don't know.
I genuinely can't remember, but yeah, there's someone with them.
Yeah.
Where I think she plays his daughter or something. He's got to protect her. It's something like that.
See, I have.
It's awful.
No idea. I'm just currently going through, her filmography and trying to find things that I might be familiar with. She was in obviously All the Boys Love Mandy Lane.
Yeah, because we've all seen that.
It's a horror movie. No? Okay.
No. I've not seen it. Put it that way.
Alright, okay. Fair enough. She was in Pineapple Express.
Yeah, but every man and his dog was in that were mates with them, was it?
Yeah, that's true. She's in The Stepfather remake.
Okay.
What
Didn't know that.
what else have we got here? Machete Kills.
Jesus.
She's in Magic Mike XXL.
Yeah. Forgot she was in that.
Yeah, and then obviously Aquaman, Justice League. So yeah, you know, not someone whose filmography I'm particularly a fan of. So yeah, like when she didn't really notice her when she popped up in this the first few times I watched it. It wasn't until later on that I noticed that she was even here. So yeah, Amber Heard is 406. Poor Jessie. He just wanted to brush her hair behind her ear.
I've always wanted to brush a girl's hair. You can see a way to do it. It's so funny.
You know what's the worst part though? We've all done that.
What? Been lying there and just went, no, I can't. I've never went, no, I can't.
I was gonna say you
there we go.
Please tell me you did it and went, there you go, at the same time.
I don't think I've ever said there you go, but I've said it in the heat. There you go.
Oh dear.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Do you like that one?
Good. Oh, it depends what you're into, really, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Have you got daddy issues? No. Would you like some?
So, in Zombieland, this movie, it does something that doesn't actually get done very often in a zombie movie, and it actually tells us how the zombie apocalypse started.
Yes.
So in this movie, it explains that the outbreak is caused by an infected hamburger.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. It just, like, obviously, you know, it's something that generally doesn't happen. Like, sometimes it's alluded to in other zombie films as to why we get, you know, a zombie apocalypse. You know,
yeah, that's because they like the mystery around it.
Yeah, of course, but
plus it's like, oh, it could have happened through any reason then, so everyone has their own theories.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, in some of them, we do know the reason in some of them, and some of them you're able to sort of figure it out. So, for example, the Night of the Living Dead, it's, you know, radiation from a space probe that comes back down. Train to Busan is a chemical leak. Girl with all the gifts, it's a fungus. 28 Days Later, it's a rage-infected monkey. Resident Evil, it's the T-virus, a genetically engineered virus. So, you know, there are movies that do tell us, or in fact, it's actually quite a major plot point as to, you know, Resident Evil, for example. That's a pretty huge,
especially them.
You know, do you prefer knowing or not knowing? You're not really that fussed.
I like the funny one like this. I do like the burger one. There was one recently that I watched and it was through owls. That was quite funny. I can't remember. It was
through owls?
Yeah, it was shit though. Like, it was an owl like scratched this guy and then that started the zombie apocalypse. It was awful. Like, it was like a really, really shit. I'll find out and I'll tell you the name of it later, but it was crap. Like one of them proper B-movie things, you know.
About owls causing zombie apocalypse.
That's the only mention of it is when you see it swoop down and the boy's like, ugh. Next thing he's biting somebody. That's it.
Is the boy no like, whoo?
Oh, no, he doesn't turn out Ric Flair.
Whoo!
Woo! DNA all over again.
Alright, Jay Lethal. House That Screams says, I prefer the Romero version where we don't get an explanation too much. I think we're all probably in that boat where, you know, it's not really a big deal breaker for us, you know, whether or not we get told even the reason at all. Like you say, I do like the funny ones. I know I reference this movie a lot when we talk about horror comedies, but I personally really like it in Shaun of the Dead, where they toy with having 4 or 5 possible different explanations. You know, you hear on the TV something about rage-infected monkeys in reference to 28 Days Later. Yep. There's TV news articles about Space Probe in reference to Night of the Living Dead. There's newspapers in there that say it's, you know, genetically modified crops. So I really like in that one. They don't necessarily go for the funny aspect with it, but they do go for we're going to pay tribute to a lot of different zombie movies here.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you a question?
Okay.
I know obviously what you'd prefer in a real life setting because I think it would be significantly easier to survive. But when it comes to your horror movies, do you prefer a fast or a slow zombie?
See, are you talking horde or just by itself?
Both.
So in a horde, you want slow, so you can get away. You
Mm-hmm.
can get away quick. But if it's one-on-one, you want it fast, so it can be over and done with. Hit it on the run. Get more emphasis on that fucker and go. Not that
Yeah,
I've thought about this at all.
I've just you probably didn't hear that, Nico, but I forgot to turn off the sound alerts for this the sound alerts for this, and the house that screams has just played very loud and very scary sound alert in my ears. Just about shot myself.
What was it?
It's just a scream. It's just a big. It's just a. It's
Oh,
just a
please
very.
keep doing that through this.
No, please don't. That's gonna be on the podcast recording.
Oh, better. Do you like a weird sexy one? I hope you've got that there. That would be quite
I
funny.
remember on my old channel I used to have the orgasm noise, but I don't think I've got that anymore. I have a whole host. I have
That
a
would be
whole host
brilliant.
of different things on there, but I just forgot to turn them off. Oh my god! It might actually be anyone who's listening to this on the podcast download will just absolutely shit themselves.
Yeah.
Oh right, I need to remember that for next time to turn them off.
So here's the thing: they're on the way to the theme park. That's where the final happens in this.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere you'd want to go if a zombie apocalypse broke out?
Well, I don't think I
Like,
would want to go to a theme park.
I get why they want to go there. It was their happy memory. It was the last place they were happy.
I mean, if they're doing it for like a nostalgia factor, are we talking
Yeah.
about practicality though?
Practicality, you've got to go. You've got to go to like somewhere like a prison or an army base or somewhere that's heavily fortified.
Or a bank?
See, banks are bad because there's only one entrance, one exit that's solid. Means
Mm,
you're pinned in.
I know, but in terms of like something that's fortifiable, a wee vault.
Do you know what's overlooked? Schools. Well, no, think about it. A lot, especially in Aberdeen, a lot of the schools were pre-war and used for basically training soldiers and stuff, so they were fortified. Plus, you got multiple entrances and exits, multiple braced doors. Because, well, take my school for example. I went to Harlaw. It had every main door that went into the building, apart from the office, had a double door to get through.
Uh-huh.
So you've got early warning.
I'm sorry, I can't get over the sentence. Do you know what's overlooked? Schools.
Oh, Jesus, that's gonna be your soundbite, isn't it, you weirdo?
Oh, oh God.
Uh,
Schools is a good one because you've got lots of different rooms as well where you can have like different things for you to survive. They're usually schools and over here. I don't know about anywhere else. Are usually pretty maze like as well. So I suppose
exactly.
you could set up like a lot of traps and
But
and
also, it's good for if you incorporate people. You can have multiple rooms. They have their own area.
mm-hmm.
It's if you've still got techie, I hope you've got heaps of weapons, and you can make your own weapons and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
repair stuff quite easily.
Uh-huh.
You got your gyms to train.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So there, that then you can all
Plus,
plus
if you have kids, they're already at school.
yeah. What a sad existence.
I know.
How's,
Shit, I've got to make it home. Oh wait, at school as well. Fuck that.
sorry, I couldn't hand my homework in today. A zombie ate it. Good one. House of Scream says they'd hole up in a Costco.
A Costco's good, but only for so long.
I mean, a Costco will have a lot of non-perishables though.
Yeah, but you're better raiding a Costco.
I think the issue with a Costco is everyone and their mum is going to try and raid a Costco.
Exactly.
So
So
if
you're
you
going to
hole up in a
constantly
Costco,
have
you're constantly going to be having to defend.
exactly.
So yeah, no, I think
But who's going to think of going to school? Probably not. As watch this, a few folk. But that's the other reason behind it. Like, you've got to think of somewhere that people will not go.
yeah, yeah.
Like a library. A library would be good.
It probably is, but again, with a library, you're starting to have that less exit points risk. That's probably not super fortifiable.
Well, look at the Central Library in Aberdeen, the big one. If you're going to a big one like that, you've got open areas that you can defend quite easy from the high ground because they've always got a bit in the middle you can look down on folk. I don't know why libraries do this. It's a weird pervy thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not a pervy thing.
I guarantee somebody was designing that and went, fucking seed on our top. Get fit, leave that floor bit. See this big space here. Forget putting oil in there. I'm got a perv in here for now on.
Only, only you, Nico, would come up with that. Anyways, okay, so that's where you'd hole up. So what did we say there? We said a school, or a library, or like an army base. I think an army base you probably will have similar issues with the Costco issue, in that a lot of people would think to go there.
Yeah. But prisons would be good.
The only problem with prisons now is a lot of people might decide to go there because of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, true.
Which is another thing that I want to come on to, because The Walking Dead, and I know obviously we're here to talk about Zombieland, but I do think it's important to talk about what's going on sort of contextually around the time as well. The Walking Dead came out a year after this. And despite, I think, what is the general consensus that towards the end, The Walking Dead was a huge steaming pile of turd, The Walking Dead was hugely successful.
No.
And, a lot of people credit that with sort of really revitalizing the zombie genre into the 2010s.
Yeah, but as I said, it went into TV. Like, a lot of the zombie stuff did go into TV, and you had everything around The Walking Dead, you had Fear of the Walking Dead and all that stuff as well.
Do you remember a little British zombie show set around Big Brother called Dead Set?
Loved it.
Did you love it? It was what was it? It was like 4 episodes or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Was it not done by the same guy that did Black Mirror?
I think so. And it was just a short little 4-episode thing, and it was actually really fucking good.
Really good. Was it not like Ray Winston's daughter and Charlie Brooker wrote it? I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved that show.
It was really fucking awesome, and I can't remember when that came out though. I'm just trying to quickly sort of look it up. It came out in 2008, so it actually came out the year before this.
But I love that for it's the Big Brother house, so everybody's watching it, right?
Yeah.
And the director knows that this is not planned. Shits a brick, but still carries on filming and still is like roll camera 3. Fucking, it's like, yeah, that guy's eating that girl's face off. Panning on camera 4.
I did like how though they got some classic Big Brother alumni in there as well. Turning into zombies. You had Davina McCall turning into a zombie. I did.
I bet she loved that.
I bet she did. I bet they all fucking loved that. That would have been. I feel like that would have just been so much fucking fun to film. So
100%. I'd like to get done up like a zombie, to be honest.
You'd like? Oh, would you like to be a zombie in like a TV show or a movie?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, fair enough.
I reckon that'd be a good one.
Fair enough. Just catching up on chat a little bit. House of Screams also says not a fan of The Walking Dead. They took Romero and made it a soap opera. Thanks Nicotero. Nicotero tutored under Tom Savini for FX on Day of the Dead. I love Gregory Nicotero, but fuck The Walking Dead. Romero, prior to his death, expressed his hatred for The Walking Dead. I liked the early seasons of The Walking Dead.
No, the early ones were good.
I think, and I actually tried a rewatch of it relatively recently, and I fell off at almost the exact same point that I fell off the first time. And it's not long after Negan is introduced.
See, I liked the way Nico was introduced. I thought
I like
the
Negan.
follow-up with it was shit.
I like Negan as a character,
Yeah.
and I like what they do, but yeah, like it just became so mundane. Everything else became so mundane.
Yeah, they watered him down a touch, I think.
They also killed off the best characters.
Yeah.
You know, that...
And they did that. Glenn, I get the shock one, that was great.
Spoilers.
But when they start... Sorry. But when they started doing it with fucking every man and his dog, I was going to mention names there, but notice a change. And it was just... You're like, yeah, I get the point. You want to shock me now, I'm bored.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. I think you're right. I think it really suffered. It was very boring by the end, and that's we've talked about it in other movies, you know, before. It's probably the worst thing a film or a TV show can be is boring. We would rather it was just bad than it was boring.
At least bad is entertaining, unless it's Trolls 2.
No, that's the ultimate so bad it's good.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Troll 2 is the ultimate so bad it's good movie. Do you think our listeners are sick fed up with us arguing about this?
Yeah.
Do you know what,
yeah.
Nico? You know what I'd prefer? I'd rather watch Child's Play remake than Doctor Sleep.
I'd rather ask him again if he would like to be in Child's Play the remake.
Yeah, ask him again. See if it goes down better this time.
Yeah. The worst part is I agree with him. It was fucking shit. I was only asking for your behalf.
I recently showed my partner the Child's Play remake, and she quite likes it. Fair enough. Anyways, I mentioned it earlier on in the episode, but I want to...
Doctor Sleep is amazing, is that what you're saying?
I don't believe I said that, Nico.
Oh, did you not? Okay,
no, I don't believe I did. I mentioned it earlier in the episode that in this movie, in Zombieland, to try to bring us kicking and screaming back to Zombieland, we have possibly one of the greatest cameos of all time in not even just in a horror movie, in movies. Bill Murray's performance in Zombieland. This whole sequence. One's better. I've not seen the second one. Do not ruin that one for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know about you. I think you're going to be like me. I'm always just really happy when Bill Murray's on my screen.
But any regrets?
Maybe Garfield.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe Garfield, but he's so funny in this, isn't he?
Oh yeah, like Bill Murray is just sheer genius. Like, I went to see him, and he was doing like classical music and shit, and it was like he did a speech out of Huckleberry Finn that almost brought you to tears, and then the very next reading thing he did with classical music playing in the background all through this, it was Jan Vogt that was doing the music as well.
Mm-hmm.
And very next thing was I feel pretty, oh so pretty, I feel pretty and witty and gay. And it was just like, that's like sheer genius.
Well, I mean, do you think, because obviously in this movie, you know, he's playing a caricature of himself.
Yes.
Do you think he genuinely regrets Garfield?
I don't think he does, because it made him a shit ton of money.
Did it?
Like, that's what bought that house.
Was it?
Probably.
I mean, what was this was it 2000? It was the early 2000s it came out, wasn't it?
I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure Garfield was a success.
Oh, fucking hell. Wow. Yeah. So Garfield, this is according to IMDb. Garfield had a budget of $50 million.
Yeah.
and grossed worldwide 203 million.
I knew it was like I knew it made a profit because even the
Wow.
second one made a profit. The
A,
he was
t-
in that as well.
a Tale of Two Kitties.
That's the one where they basically do that swapping over the Prince and the Pauper because like the other cut is like the cut to the King of England or something.
Yeah, it didn't make as much money. It was 60 million budget, 143 million gross.
Still
So
made
it still made 80 million.
exactly.
80 million. Oh, my IMDb search history is so bizarre. It's went from, things like Zombieland and Shaun of the Dead to Dead Set to Garfield.
I'll apologise now for the most Scottish ball opener ever.
Is that beer number 2?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've almost finished rum number 2, so. Okay. Is there any other cameos that you can think of that are up there? We'll discount the one from Double Tap because I've not seen it.
Yeah. I kind of think I'm getting distracted by another cat away to attack me. Sorry.
It doesn't have to be horror specific.
Yeah.
Just if if there's anything else that you can think of. I've just typed in to Google best ever movie cameos, and number 1 is Zombieland. Bill Murray.
Yeah, because it is the best one. I'm
What
not
about
gonna lie.
what about?
It's epic.
I know the films aren't very good, but what about Mike Tyson in The Hangover?
See, they lean too much into him being a absolute dickhead, and that annoys me.
Okay. What about all of Stan Lee's cameos? Is there any in there that really stick out to you?
Marvel.
Stan Lee and Marvel.
Who's the way to torture again? Is it not Thor? He's the way to torture. I quite like that one.
What about Keith Richards in Pirates of the Caribbean?
That is very, very, very good. Because that is basically Johnny Depp's character in real life format.
What about Stephen King? He likes a cameo. Stephen King in It Chapter 2?
Yeah.
No? Not a fan of King. What about Brad Pitt in Deadpool 2?
The Invisible Man one.
The Invisible Man, yeah.
I forgot about that until you just reminded me and it made me laugh, so that's quite a good one actually. They take was he not the world's sexiest man at that point?
I think so. I know that was Ryan Reynolds.
No, I think he got it the year after.
Oh, did he? I'm going down a big list here. I'm just trying to see if there's any that particularly stand out. Michael Jackson in Men in Black 2.
Yeah, he is just an alien, so it's fine.
He's Agent M, actually.
No, he wants to be Agent M, remember? He goes, I can be Agent M.
That's
right. You can be. Anyway, I'm not going to that subject.
Who else have we got here? You've got Mike Myers in Bohemian Rhapsody.
No. But I do like the fact that he plays the guy that says, yeah, Queen shit, you're never going to make any money.
Yeah. What about Daniel Craig in The Force Awakens?
Well, you can't really tell it's him until she says, right, tighten the restraints and close the door. It's just the weirdest scene ever. Or did I watch the wrong one?
Well, possibly. Anyways, another one, a horror-related one, Kate Blanchett in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, that is quite funny, actually.
So, there's tons in there, but I think it's...
But Bill Murray is the top.
Is Bill Murray the top?
Yeah, 100%.
To go back to, my favourite horror comedy, Shaun of the Dead, Coldplay do make a cameo in that.
Yeah. I just want to see them get eaten, though.
Are you not a fan of Coldplay, Nico?
They're a bit whiny.
a bit.
Just a tad. Just a tad. Just tad.
Okay. So, one thing I wanted to sort of talk about as well, right? So we've obviously talked quite a lot about Zombieland, where it ranks, in terms of horror movies, zombie movies, horror comedies. We've went quite in depth about that. This movie was at the time the highest grossing zombie movie in the United States. Not worldwide, but in the United States. And it stayed like that until World War Z came out 4 years later, right?
Yeah.
Is it that good though? Is it good enough to be that title? Was World
I
War
think
Z
so.
good enough to be the one that takes it away?
No.
We've covered World War Z.
Yeah. But still. This is definitely better than World War Z, I think.
Listen, I would much rather watch this than World War Z. I don't think it came particularly high up on our leaderboard. I'm just actually trying to find it. It's currently sitting in 45th place in our leaderboard, is World War Z, and I would imagine that Zombieland would come higher than it. So, but you would agree with that at the time, you think that this movie is good enough to take that mantle, if you will.
Yeah, because at the time it was fresh. Like, it was genuinely, you didn't see shit like this where this is basically a movie version of a TV show. And you can't deny it isn't. Everything in it is, this feels like a giant pilot. And you can tell a mile away that's what they took it. They saw Shaun of the Dead and they're like, right, fuck it, we're taking this and running with it.
Yeah.
And it worked. I think it worked very, very well. And I was so surprised when it did.
Yeah.
Like, it's cartoony in sections, it's dead serious in others. Like, that point where you see it coming a mile away, where you find out it's his son, not his dog.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't get a little tear in your eye at that point, you're not human.
I mean, I don't really like kids, Nico.
Yeah, but it's the fact that, you know, he's speaking it about as if it's his dog, and then you find out it's his son, and you're like, that's heartbreaking.
Dodged a bullet.
Well, it didn't actually.
No, Woody Harrelson did.
Oh.
Arst. Listen.
Oh.
I don't think I'm ever gonna think that Zombieland is the greatest zombie movie there is, or I like this movie. You know, I like it more than World War Z. I like it more than a lot of things that we've reviewed on the show. But for me, ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't really put this any higher than slightly out. I wouldn't rate this any higher than just above average.
Yeah.
Boomer's here. Boomer's just made it so he's really mad that he's just got his break, but he's here.
Hello, Boomer.
Welcome on in.
Oh, and lucky that I'm back on after all, and I'd definitely be up for doing a naked podcast. Yes, I want to show you, dick.
That's fine. I'll take a week off.
Lucky
Okay.
I'm back on, Hope he doesn't hear this. Yeah, like I wasn't a fan first.
Oh, Jesus.
You okay there? You look like you're sweating a bit.
You know what? I'm fucking roasting. It's the booze. To be fair, I'm on my third drink. We're now bordering into having potentially a tipsy podcast.
Nah, not yet. Need hard alcohol for that.
I mean, I've pretty much stopped drinking. I haven't drunken for a very long, drunken anything significant for a very long time.
I can't say that.
No, you can't.
I think last time I saw you, I was actually drunk.
Yeah, that was about 6 days ago, Nico.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, just to catch up with the rest of the chat, Blue Blaze Games, Danny says it's a mid film in her opinion. Got as big as it did from the green light, and yeah, I see. I think this is above average. I don't think it's any better than that. I don't think it's in that top tier that I would put something like Shaun of the Dead or Dog Soldiers. For me, that is top tier horror comedy.
Yeah.
This doesn't quite reach that level for me.
I'd definitely say it's up there, but I'd say it's up there for the fact that it was fresh, it was new. Not a lot of people were doing this shit. and it was innovative,
That's
and I
some
liked it.
that's some fine English there, Nico.
Aye, try that again.
I
No
was
editing anymore.
there was a really weird noise there, and I'm not actually sure which one of us made it. Because it doesn't actually. I don't think I made a noise there, but I don't think it was you either.
Was it the thing in the background that I can't hear again?
Oh, possibly.
Oh, please, somebody do the orgasm one. That would be funny.
No, there isn't. There isn't one. There isn't one.
Oh,
It's not there. It was on my old stream. I don't have it anymore.
What's the loudest one you've got on there?
I don't know. I'm not saying.
Come on, we've got to scare him. Come on.
No, it's fine. We don't have to do that.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, Danny says it's not bad at all. It's just not great. I'm in agreement there. You are aware that it does. You have to pay to do that, Nico. So if you want to give me some money, that's fine.
Yeah, I get nothing from this. You get it all.
I know. That's because I do 95% of the work.
Well,
Nico.
I should get 5% then.
Nico shows up. That's what Nico does. Nico shows up.
I show up, drink beer, and talk shit.
Yeah. Shit. Definitely talk shit.
Yeah. Here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. All out bubble gum.
Boomer says it was fun for a while, but started to get old and did not need a sequel.
I like the sequel.
I've not seen the sequel, so I can't possibly comment.
You cannot deny the Bill Murray thing in the sequel is better than this one.
Well, I don't know. I've not seen it.
Boomer, tell me I'm wrong. Come on, tell me.
Just say he's wrong, because it's very easy. He's wrong all the time. Yes. Anyways, you know, there's one thing as well that I would really like to have seen a little bit more of
What's that?
In this movie. I would like to have seen more than one zombie kill of the week.
Yeah, but that's the point. I think it was meant to be, because it was meant to be a TV show, that was going to be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah, I get that. I absolutely get that. And that would make sense. If you have a 10 episode and having one zombie kill per week in every episode, absolutely get that. But we're not in a TV show, we're in a movie. And I think it felt, you know what, it just felt like a bit of a cock tease. It felt like...
That's what I liked about it.
No, it felt like this is something that we could have had so much fun. And I'm not asking for like 7 or 8 different ones. I'm literally maybe asking for 1 or 2 extras. So I'm maybe talking 2 or 3 throughout the film.
See, if they had this cast, the TV show would have worked. But I guarantee they didn't have the budget for that.
No, absolutely, 100%. But that's, again, by the by, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having the zombie kill of the week in the movie. I just think the movie itself would have benefited from having 1 or 2 extras. You could have really broken the film up.
Well, if the timeline was more than a week, I would understand that. But the timeline in this does not seem like it's more than a week. It seems like it all happens within a couple of days.
I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't have just extended the timeline a little bit. It wouldn't have made any less sense that, okay, they decided to spend 2 or 3 nights at Bill Murray's house, and you know, it was a couple of days before they managed to chase up and find them. Like, realistically, that's not changing anything to do with the plot. And if anything, it's actually probably furthering the plot a little bit more, because it would explain why these characters are getting so attached to each other, because they've actually spent a period of time together, not just a day or 2.
But saying that, like, we are social animals. Even extroverts crave a certain amount of human contact.
Introverts, Nico.
Introverts, sorry. Said it the wrong way around.
You did, yes. No, of course they do. I mean...
So, yeah.
I'm an introvert who displays a exterior of extroversy. I don't even know if that's English, but...
I was like, I'm struggling to keep up with this part.
You're an extrovert, Nico. You like the social.
No, I'm
you
not
like
social at all.
You like the social contact. I hate it, quite frankly. But you know, I'm very good at putting on the extrovert act.
I got a girl thrown out of Trop this past weekend by accident.
How did you do that?
Well, she held my hand for no apparent reason.
What a bitch!
and I said, no, it's the thing, because like I was dancing with my mate, and like couple of girls were dancing with us, the usual, like when we were out. But this girl was like, no, come on, we'll go here, drink. I'm like, no, I'm going to the toilet. And she wouldn't let go of my hand, so I still went to the toilet. And she got thrown out because she went into the gents.
I mean, I think she got herself thrown out then.
But she would not let go. Like, proper gripping my hand. I'm like, what are you doing?
Fair
So,
enough.
yeah.
Boomer...
Mo came into the toilet and was like, yeah, she's going to get thrown out. And I'm like, ain't fault.
Boomer does say
But no, I'm not social.
That does say that the cameo was better in the sequel, but the rest was a chore.
But, yeah. I like the new girl.
Okay.
The new girl is just the right amount annoying.
Okay. Again, can't comment, haven't seen it, so I'll leave that one up to interpretation for everyone else. That's all the points that I really have about this movie, because I feel like the rest is pretty standard fare. I like the scenes, you know, where they're in the shops, you know, when they're in the shopping center and Tallahassee, you know, plays the banjo. That's pretty funny, you know.
Well, that is him trying to get kill of the week, zombie kill of the week.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like the majority of the comedy in this movie hits, it lands.
I like the clown.
The clown, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the majority of it does work.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's anything exceptional, other than possibly Bill Murray.
Well, I get you, but I think it's typical American style comedy where it's big laughs, toilet humor in a lot of places. There's shit that's happening all the time. It's funny. It's good. I like that shit.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we move on?
No, nothing I can think of.
Okay. Just wary of the time. We should move on to our next segment then. And we'll talk about a little bit of trivia. I don't actually have a huge amount of trivia for this movie. As always, though, we'll start off with the finances. According to IMDb, this movie had a budget of $23.6 million. And grossed worldwide $102.3 million. So big success. Made a lot of money. You know, made a lot of money for a horror comedy zombie movie.
Yes.
You know, I think, you know, in terms of worldwide, you know, I think Resident Evil is probably the only things that really far surpass. You know, that franchise made so much fucking money, which is shocking because there's barely a good movie in there.
There's no stay away from the ball.
You know, I think the original probably is what comes closest to a decent movie, and we've covered that movie, and we did not rate it highly.
Yeah.
You know, that movie sits, I think, in our you know, bottom 10 to 15 movies that we've covered on the show. I would still much rather go back and watch, you know, Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yeah.
Than watch that movie, but that movie made so much money. So, but this movie did, like I say, did make a good chunk of money, so I can see absolutely why they would go on and try to do the TV show and then give us the sequel. I'm not sure actually how much money Double Tap made. I'm gonna go with the assumption that it probably, well, I don't know actually. I'm going with the assumption that it probably didn't make as much as this one. But,
oh no, Double Tap was hated. A lot of people hate it.
It was hated, but did it make enough in its like initial runs to make it earn more money? I can tell you right now that so essentially the original Zombieland made about 80 million, just under 80 million in profit. Yeah. And Double Tap also made about 80 million in profit.
Oh, really?
Slightly higher budget, slightly higher gross, made 122 million.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
surprised at that.
Boomer says, movie may have been bad, but my god, the Resident Evil Netflix series was atrocious. Have you watched that yet?
Yeah.
I did a mini-sode on it partway through last year. I didn't hate it, to be honest.
It was awful.
I didn't like it, but I certainly didn't hate it. I've seen worse.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot worse than that. But yeah, I don't think I rated it particularly highly. For me, it's the fucking Dua Lipa number in like the second to last episode. Like just randomly out of nowhere, there's this like dance number. What the fuck is going on?
But no, like getting back to Zombieland, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they did the TV show, have you seen any of that?
No, I've not watched it.
They honestly, it's like they got it off Wish. They went, I want Zombieland, but I want to get it off Wish. That's the only way of describing it. And it's just they lean way, way too much into the comedy in that, and it's just not hitting because it's not that funny.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Which was gutting because I was really looking forward to it.
I mean, I'm not gonna check it out, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna bother with it. Obviously, Bill Murray. We were going to talk about Bill Murray. We're going to talk about cameos. Bill Murray did not originally have any lines after he is shot by Columbus. The Garfield line was totally improvised.
So yeah, do you think he really does?
So I think he maybe does really regret Garfield. It might have made him a load of money, but maybe he does really regret it.
Bought him that fucking house.
It's a nice house.
It is a nice house.
So
it
obviously,
goes straight to the king's house, baby.
Well, Bill Murray was not the only major celebrity to be offered a cameo role in this movie. Patrick Swayze was also offered a role as a zombie before he received his diagnosis.
Oh, fuck.
And his scene apparently would have parodied movies like Ghost and Dirty Dancing.
That would have been funny.
I think that would have been incredible. Cameo roles were also offered to Joe Pesci.
Yeah,
I think there could have been something really funny there. Mark Hamill definitely could have had some fucking fun with Mark Hamill. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Could you imagine him as a zombie? He'd be like the unstoppable zombie.
Kevin Bacon. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He would have to do splits and get his head cut off.
Probably. And Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Exactly. So I think I'd have liked to have seen Mark Hamill in this.
Mark Hamill and Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
And Patrick Swayze.
The only other bit of trivia that I actually have, this John Carpenter turned down the opportunity to direct this movie. I think
that's a good shout, though.
According to the writers, Carpenter was very interested in directing what was then to be the TV pilot. So at the time when he was interested in this, it was the TV pilot. However, as it transitioned into a feature film, Carpenter started to lose interest in it. He loved the script, but his schedule wouldn't permit him the time necessarily to direct a full-length film. So I think Carpenter was interested in doing a pilot, essentially. And then it transformed into a movie, and he lost interest in it. And that's it. That's all I actually have for trivia. There wasn't a huge amount of really interesting trivia about this. Anything from you, Nico?
No, I just know about it going to be a TV show before, and I've already said that. So.
Yeah. Boomer says you have to live like Michael Caine with no regrets. Those roles pay the bills.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. I mean, if I was Bill Murray, I don't think I'd regret Garfield.
I'd be looking at McHouse in the car going, yeah, it wasn't that bad.
I'd be looking at them going, phoning up the director, being like, right, when are we doing Garfield 3?
I think there was a 3.
Oh, was there?
But I don't think he was in it.
Well, there you go. But he did the sequel, so you can't have regretted it that much. He did the sequel.
Yeah, because it fucking paid for his... That's what paid for his cars.
I know.
The sequel.
I know. Anyways, we shall move on to our final segment of the show. We're talking about the ratings and the reviews. As always, we will start off with the critics' scores. IMDb scored this movie a 7.6 out of 10. Metacritic scoring it a 7.3 out of 10. Nico, What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes audience and critics scored this movie?
Well, I reckon the audience loved it, so that's going to be about 80 odd. Critics will have hated it, so that'll be about 40.
So you go for
So I'd
eight.
say 83 and 42.
You're really, really close with one of them.
84 and 42.
So the Rotten Tomatoes critics scored this movie 89% fresh, with the Rotten Tomatoes audience scoring at 86%. So they're pretty much in total agreement.
I'm actually surprised at that.
The critics' consensus is wickedly funny and featuring plenty of gore. Zombieland is proof that the zombie subgenre is far from dead. See what they did there? See what they did there?
Yeah, it's a bit undead, that.
It's
but...
a bit. As always, we throw it out to you guys who are listening, our followers, our viewers, asking for your scores and opinions. Here is just a few of them. Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks Pod. I love that name. Probably a 7.5. It's got a good cast, the humour lands, and it uses practical effects for the most part. Only knocks are that none of the scares are scary, and it doesn't do anything new for the subgenre.
I don't think anything needs to be scary in it, though. That's the thing.
No, yeah, that's... If you're wanting something scary, you just watch something else, don't you? MPG 1980 says so I give it a 7, but I'll add an extra point for possibly the best cameo ever, so 8.
Yeah.
The House That Screams, who's been here in the chat, give it an 8. Solid film, and the humour and soundtrack are spot on. We've not even talked really about the soundtrack, but it's pretty badass. Friend of the show, Wren, also gives it an 8. Super fun and fresh feeling in a subgenre that has felt oversaturated for a long time. Woody Harrelson was absolutely perfect casting here, and you could tell the whole cast, even Bill Murray, loved filming this.
Yeah.
Movies for Days, our friends over at the Movies for Days podcast, also gives it an 8. Solid comedy, sharp writing, great pacing, fun visuals, and a perfect cast. If Shaun of the Dead is the quintessential British zombie comedy, then this is the quintessential American zombie comedy.
See, I'll agree with that. Because that is pretty much the difference. One is purely British humour and one is American humour.
Yeah, I just happen to prefer the British humour.
I like both, but I do prefer the American one in this.
And finally, Stu World Order gives it an 8.5 out of 10. Genuinely funny and creative. The characters are all charming. Gets intense in the climax. So we took all of your scores together, all of those ones that I've just read out, plus all the extras that we got on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, add them all together, and the listeners gave Zombieland an average score of 8.4 out of 10. So some really good scoring here for Zombieland. That just leaves me and you, Nico. On a scale of 0 to 10, what would you rate Zombieland?
I find that funny because I was going to give it an 8.5.
Was gonna? Are you still?
But yeah, I'll stick with 8.5. I was going to bump it up because the more we were talking about it, the more I was liking it, and it was in the background as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about it, but yeah, I'll stick with 8.5.
Okay.
I did 8.5 because genuinely, as you said, it's got the best cameo that's ever been. Like, I genuinely can't think of any cameo that isn't as good as his.
I think
and it's amazing.
I think Bill Murray. I think without Bill Murray, we're talking very mid scores here, and I think that's the reason why. I'm sitting here now. I will defend Shaun of the Dead far more than I will Zombieland, despite the fact that I like this as an overall movie. This is where I'm saying, I think it's maybe an average to an above average film, because I think if you take Bill Murray's scene out of this, I think it's a very average movie.
But his is better in the second. That's even scarier.
But that's the thing, so for me, I can't give it a score like 8.5 based on that.
I thought you would go lower.
I think if it wasn't for Bill Murray, I'd be looking at like a 5 to a 6, and somewhere in that ballpark figure. I think with Bill Murray in there, I think that saves this movie somewhat. So I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10.
That's fair enough.
I just think
I get why you're like that, but
I just think that, yeah, I think without him, it would be a far, far worse movie. Not a worse movie. There's nothing bad about this movie. Everything in this movie is fine, and so a lot of the comedy is good. I just think Bill Murray's the only thing that really elevates this for me.
But that's what what I'd heard about the TV show that they were going to do. They were going to do Zombie Kill the Week. They were going to do a cameo every week. It was going to be that way.
And that would be great.
Exactly. So if you're building a TV show around that, you're going to do the same for the movie.
No, I'm not saying that, but I just think maybe then, therefore, whilst they've made a decent movie that's made them a lot of money, which is great, which they've went on and made a sequel, which generally isn't as liked as much, but still made them a lot of money. That's great. I just still think that the general concept of this is far better suited to a TV show than a movie.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that the TV show that they were making is dog shit.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one for
I was looking forward to it so much.
There's one for the gash counter, guys.
Oh. Gosh.
You were looking forward to it, you said.
I was looking forward to the TV show, and I really, really was. I'm like, this is going to be brilliant. And, oh, fuck me.
I know.
Halfway through that first episode, I was regretting it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even think it got more than one episode.
Boomer gives that 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that.
So
I thought you'd be higher.
Well, there you go. So, all of our scores combined with our listeners and our critics' scores gives Zombieland an average score of 8 out of 10.
That's
so higher than you thought. You thought it was going to get about a 7.5 in total. Yeah. It puts it in 12th place of the now 69 movies that we've covered in the show. 1 place above Near Dark and 1 place below Hereditary.
No, something. All 3 of them I'd put on par with each other. I'd watch all 3.
I'd watch Zombieland the least out of those 3.
I know, but it would just basically take the fancy of which one it would be.
There's the sort of, I'm looking, for me personally, I'm looking at the sort of 5 or 6 movies that are just below, maybe even slightly more than that, the 6, sort of 7 or 8 movies that are just below Zombieland on our leaderboard. You got Near Dark, American Psycho, Prey, Candyman, X, They Live, Host, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Trick or Treat, Cube. I'd rather watch all of them than...
See, from They Live right up to Near Dark, I would put all of them above Hereditary, Near Dark, and Zombieland.
Yeah.
But
that's how it works. You know, that's the way it goes. And I must say, you looking at, you know, you're saying you're putting a lot of them on a par.
Yeah.
You have actually been very consistent in your scoring. 8.5 for Zombieland, 8.5 for Near and Dark, 8.5 for American Psycho, 8.5 for Prey. You've been very consistent. You have been very consistent with your scoring in that sort of ballpark there. So, we'll give you that. It does also mean, and I'm sure
out of all of them, Prey is the one I would boost the score because it's better than the rest.
Prey is excellent. I gave Prey a better score than I gave Zombieland.
Yeah.
However, you'll be pleased to know, Nico, that because it lands in 12th place, your beloved Lost Boys clings on to its place in the top 10. It's still sitting there in 10th.
Should be at fucking number 1.
It clings on there for another week. Boomer says he's with me. Sorry, Nico. He says he thinks you are checking your scores before you go in.
Blank phone, nothing on it.
Nico's just not arsed enough to do that.
Nah. I'd rather crack open another one of them than check scores.
I know. I'm almost at the end of number 3 already. I will end up pissed before this night is out. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the podcast episode portion of the show. For the stream. For anyone who's listening on the download, Thank you very much for joining us. This is the end of the show for you guys. Nico, after I give the outro, if you can stay online for a couple of seconds, because we'll still be broadcasting on Twitch. And same goes for all you guys who are here in the chat. But don't forget, if you would like to support this show on our socials, you can do so. We're on Twitter at Damned Podcast. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Pod of the Damned. You can email us at podofthedamned@gmail.com. And you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Pod of the Damned. Up next on the show, it's a movie that I advertised we were going to review a few weeks ago, but our scheduling got mixed up again, so we're finally going to get round to it. Nico, I know you've really, really been looking forward to this one. We're going to be talking about the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, that Blair Witch Project,
And that I can, to everyone who's like, Nico has been absolutely frothing at the mouth in anticipation to talk about this movie. That's just him being really excited.
Yeah. I'm definitely into that. But anyway.
I think Nico is single-handedly going to make sure that Blair Witch Project doesn't get anywhere near the top 10. How raging would you be if Blair Witch Project was the thing that knocked Lost Boys out the top 10?
I'm not. Fuck off. Right. Just no.
You can't can't even comprehend it, could you?
So that's a 0 from me then.
Is that a 0? If you've never given a 0.
Did I not do that to Trolls?
You gave Troll 2 a 0.5.
Oh yeah.
I gave Troll 2 a 0. I still think I still like it more than you.
I can't remember what I gave the 0.5 for.
Probably the popcorn scene.
Oh no, probably the pissing on the fucking.
The pissing on the food scene.
I can't remember actually.
Just a quick go over of a couple of things that are going to be coming up on the show. Obviously, as we've said, this is episode number 73. Whilst it is still a few months down the line, we are fast approaching our 100th episode as a show. Just to let everyone know, our 101st episode will be a slight
Dalmatians episode.
We start our very own Disney leaderboard. Oh, Nico, I think we'd be Could you imagine us two on a Disney podcast?
So this was Gosh, and
look at this dumb fuck!
Why the fuck is she going for the good-looking guy again?
Why would you do that? You could hear a bit of spaghetti.
Why did they put Rammstein on that bit?
So yeah, our 101st episode is going to be a slight review, Nico. We're basically going to pick 3 movies each that we would like to rescore.
That we'd like to rescore?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I'll give Lost Boys a 20.
No, the scale will be the same, a 0 out of 10.
No.
The scale will be a 0 out of 10, Nico. I make the rules. This is my podcast. This is what happens when you only show up.
Okay, I'll give Child's Play the remake a 0.
I mean, that's not much lower than what you actually gave. You gave it a 2. I don't think your zero's actually going to... That's fine, I'll give it a 10 then. Fuck you. My score will have a bigger impact than your change of score. Thank you very much.
Doctor Sleep's a 10.
Doctor Sleep's a 0.
This could just end up being a hate crime.
Basically, we're going to pick 3 movies each, Nico, that we think, in retrospect, we've either judged slightly too harshly or been too generous to. Obviously, we've still got, 27 more episodes to go before then, 27 more movies to cover. So
I've been fair in all of them.
There is I can tell you right now that there is an outcry from a lot of our followers, Nico, that Halloween 3 is still in our bottom 5.
It should be lower.
Could you imagine how upset they would be? Like, we've had so many messages and comments complaining about Halloween 3 being in our bottom 5. Could you imagine how raging they would be if after the re-ranking episode it was actually lower?
How much did I give that again?
You gave Halloween 3 a 1.
That's fair. Like, genuinely, it's creepy. It's like, for the wrong reasons, it's creepy.
Okay. What would you rather watch, Child's Play remake or Halloween 3?
Child's Play remake.
Okay. Just remember that when you're thinking about which movies. I mean,
And how much did I give Child's Play?
2.
How much?
2.
So yeah, that's consistent. I would rather watch that.
I mean,
I'm not changing that fucker.
I mean, I'm just having a look through, some of my own scores, and there's a couple of movies in there that I've already sort of got in mind for things that I might want to sort of revisit and rescore. There's a couple on your list that I definitely think you should consider revisiting. For
that face.
I mean, you gave Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse an 8.
I agree with that. I think that's I love that.
You gave Silent Hill a 4.5.
Yeah, because it's not aged well.
You gave Censor a 2.
Yeah, because it was shit.
You are aware that you're gonna have to rescore 3 episodes.
Okay.
Are you gonna change, like, I don't know, like, a 9.5 to a 9 just for the shits and giggles, so you've got something to rescore?
No, it can become a 9.4 or a 9.6.
You're gonna waste this fucking episode, aren't you?
I don't know. I can't remember what I've rated most of them.
I mean, I'll send you.
I'm
gonna send you the leaderboard.
Like, give me another random one, and I'll say.
What one that I think you should revisit?
Yeah.
Oh, you gave Human Centipede a 3.
Yeah, that's fair. It might get a 4, but yeah, it's near the ballpark.
Would that change? I mean, it changes its overall score. It wouldn't change where it is on the leaderboard.
See, I think I'm quite fair with that. It's a problem.
You gave Rubber a 5.5.
Yeah, it entertained me quite a lot. I actually watched it again after I reviewed it. I don't know why I did. It just drew me towards it.
Oh, you gave Halloween 2 an 8.
Yes. Because it's the second half of the movie that I used to watch as a kid.
Okay. I'll sit here for the next 45 minutes and just go through these one by one. I don't give a fuck.
If you even closed out the
No, I'll close out the podcast and we can do this for the actual stream. So, guys, like I say, up next week is the Blair Witch Project. This episode will go live on all podcast platforms tomorrow once I get a chance to sit down and edit it. So, that Nico, there's your other cat.
That's Shira.
There's Shira.
This is the one that's been looking to jump on me. That's why I kept looking like this at the side, just so everyone knows.
There
she goes.
So yes, Nico, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode.
Lucky I came back on then.
Lucky I came, yeah, indeed. Thank you to everyone else who tuned in to the live podcast. Like I say, if you're here watching in the stream, stay tuned because we're not finished yet. But if you're listening to us on the podcast download, thank you very much. Up next is the Blair Witch Project. I've already given you all the socials, so just remember, until next week on the Pod of the Damned, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.